Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Meet the President. And today we're
Mm.
meeting Roy Gillett. Hi, Roy. Great to see you.
Hello.
Hi there. Now, tell us a bit about the Astrological Association. First of all, how did you get involved with it, and how many years ago, if you remember?
Well, yeah, it was in the late 80s. I started going to conferences, and I was then invited to join the board in the middle of June 1990. And so I've been actually going to board meetings since then. It's as long as that. Quite frightening.
And you joined a really prestigious list of presidents. If you think about all the people over the years who've been,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
talking about becoming a president, of course, I should make that clear. I didn't become president in 1990. I got on the board in 1990. And then after spending 4 or 5 years as chair of the board from 94 to 99, I then became president in 1999. Yeah, and I did follow. I mean, it was quite a privilege because, after Grigorian Firebrace founded the association, then John Addy and then Charles Harvey established not only the association but much that is astrology in the end of the second half of the 20th century. And then Nick Campion came along, of course, who's been a great leader, and we were able to help him a bit with the academic side, taking all the pressure of by taking on the presidency from him in 1999. And surprisingly, I've been there ever since.
well, yes, you obviously still enjoy it and they still need you. So, what does an average week or month look like as a president? What are you juggling generally?
Well, it's varied through the years. I mean, at one stage, I was looking after, well, to start with, I was guiding into the organisation of the conference. I mean, I became president at this enormous conference we managed to organise for the eclipse in Plymouth in August 1999. And then, of course, others took over responsibility for the conference, Peter High, and then wonderful work that Wendy Stacey's done ever since then. And I was helping her with that in the early days. And increasingly now she's taking full responsibility for it for many years now. And but then I was also helping. I facilitated the conversion of the journals to MP3 so that they could be online and everybody could access them. That's the whole of the journal from 1959, the correlation since it was founded essentially the late 70s and 60s, and then really from 1980s. And the Astrology and Medical newsletter, which Trudy Charles took responsible for. But all these things became available, and also the enabling of the conversion of the recordings of the um, conference talks since the late 1980s are available online, and I facilitated all that, and then helped the transition from a very crude foundation of the astrological website to the transition to the work that Kat Keane put in with several other support, and Chris Mitchell put into creating the wonderful website that we have today. But I've also been particularly interested in looking after the library, which um, Trudy Charles restored really, and from his storage, and then Philip Graves, as great custodian and academic expert on astrological literature, has looked after ever since. So I've been looking after that, and also correlation and research. Now working wonderfully with Robert Curry, and we recently had this incredibly successful Kepler Day in London last January. So those are the main areas of focus, but I've also looked after the making of the charitable status of the association, which we were working on very hard from 1997 until we finally succeeded in 2013. So I know that's a normal week, but it's things connected with that you're dealing with all the time in a normal week.
Yes, it must be a bit like a steamroller, really. Just it's taken over your life for the last 26, 27 years.
Well, I mean, my feeling as well since I got involved in astrology in the 1970s and worked full time on it since 1976 and realized the incredible value. I mean, I traveled around the world for 2 years, keeping a day by day diary on what happened astrologically every day, and realizing what incredible value there was, doing lots of consultations with clients and that all over the world, and then for a long time in New Zealand, then in Britain. But I realized the value of astrology, and what else can you do? You never want to stop working to get understanding, because I think astrology gives you that objectivity that prevents the sort of greed, ignorance, and hatred that seems to be increasingly dominating and ruining our experience of life on the planet at the moment. So for me, I mean, it's a lifetime devotion, and it's a privilege to work for astrology on a day-to-day basis, sit at my desk to communicate with people. Of course, in addition to my work for the association, I look after solar fire for many, many people in Britain and beyond. And that enables calculations and much astrology to be done. So what else is more worthwhile in life than making sure that people can understand each other and circumstances better? So it's not a chore at all, Frank.
No, no, very true. So
Yeah.
tell me about the Astrological Association itself. I've always thought of it as an umbrella that protects people. It's somewhere you can go
Mm.
when you need advice on it, you need support, you need to look for an astrologer in a particular
Yeah.
area. How would you sum it up?
Well, I think that you've got it on the nail. I mean, when Nick Campion became president and I was chair the same time, became chair, we really wanted to make sure that the intrinsic purpose of the association to be the umbrella, as you say, was made possible and to include everyone in every astrological approach in our conferences, in our journals, and everything. Because it seems to me that astrology is just many ways of looking at life. And as long as you're consistent with the way you're looking at life, you have every right to be heard as an astrologer, even though your methods may be very different from other people's. So it was wonderful to get that together. And as increasingly the association has enabled this. And of course, now, particularly at this time in the 21st century, when I was a new generation to astrologers in the 70s and 80s and had to relate to the older people who had established it, now we have a complete new group of astrologers, a younger generation of astrologers, particularly working on the web, who've got amazing new ideas. And the incredible job that I feel that I'm doing what I can, as long as I can, is to making it possible to encourage as younger members of the board, particularly now in the AA, are really working very hard to extend into the journal. In fact, what you're planning to do with the Mountain Astrologer, of course, we already do with the Astrological Association, with the new Stellar development, which is a free online access to anybody anywhere in the world, with sort of not just words to read, but interviews and things like that to understand, and to see the work that Wendy and Rod Chan and Alejo and some of the other members of the board are putting into making this possible is really heartening to see. And I think it says a lot for the future of astrology.
Thank you. Yeah, one of the great benefits of AA membership is the journal. And again, you've had some great editors over the years, some great names in astrology do it. It seems to get better every year, perhaps. I don't know whether
Yeah.
that's dissing anybody from the past, but it seems to have a variety of voices, and it's quite a unique experience. The journal.
I encourage people to, if they become a member, and look at every journal that's ever been published. I have in my garage every journal that's ever been published, from a kind of A4 sort of typewritten thing in the early year or so to an A5 sort of quite nicely stapled, very scholarly journal, to the wonderful coloured work that we've got developed that came out of John Green's development, particularly the present structure. And then, of course, Victor Oliver took it over and has brought it to great heights of excellence. And now, Stella, we got it online as well, you know. So that, but of course, Stella is free. You to have to pay if you want to have access to the whole suite of journals right the way back and get a new one 6 times a year. Um, but also, of course, that is one of the many advantages of being a member of the association. You can access all its literature for no extra cost.
Yeah, it's a remarkable archive. I really think so.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now, apart from all of that, you've managed to write a best-selling astrology book, The
yeah,
Secret Language. Tell us a bit
yeah.
about your writing, and is there another one in the pipeline?
Well, the first one I wrote was called Astrology and Compassion: The Convenient Truth. It came out just as Al Gore was talking about inconvenient truths. It's rather unfortunate that people still haven't realised that astrology is a convenient way of understanding what's going on and making assessments on who should and should not ask to lead you and guide you in life. But that's what was in my mind. And I was trying to show that astrology had something to say on just about every academic level of society. And it was a shame that it wasn't given a proper role in academia. Then I sort of commented on the 2008 crash with a short book. And then came this wonderful opportunity to write this book, The Secret Language, which it was wonderful to work with a team of researchers for images and original art workers and people who would edit your work and look at every little bit and detail and encourage improvement. It was a wonderful honour to work with such a wonderful Watkins team of people. And of course, it sold very well throughout the world. I think it's about 140,000 copies now, and then in 9 languages. So on the other languages, I'm not sure of the numbers. Yeah, and now more recently, because I've been writing the Working with the Planet since 2002, every 2 months, a comment on the 2 months ahead, but particularly an overview of the circumstances of the world at that time. I was asked to put together some of the best of it in a volume, and I included illustrations and also historical details of what was going on when I was writing that, so you can see the context of astrology working. You see incredibly how well an understanding of astrology would have helped decision making. And so that's been published in a book called Working with the Planets, which came out a couple of years ago now. It includes the COVID period. It's very exciting to be able to do that. I feel it's so important for people to understand astrology. It isn't a religion, it's a tool. It's rather like we have a motor mechanic because we want to drive a car around, but we live our lives. And mechanical science just gives you that kind of mechanic foundation. There's a great scope for the future of science, which I see astrology playing a major part in. And this is a science of a different level of understanding, which monitors our behavior, not controls it, monitors it. And this is why, until I die, I will work to make astrology understood and available to more and more people. And I think the association is playing a great role in that.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. That's a great place to end and to sum it all up at the moment. So thank you, Rod.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Thank
All
you.
the best to everybody.